Welcome back everyone to Angela's Craft Room. Today I'm going to do a card using a technique called mirror imaging. Now you can use any stamp set to do this. I'm using from the Floral Phrases, I'm using this flower image. This is a note card I made doing it and I think it turned out quite well, but I'm going to make it today in a full size card. And it's going to be a happy birthday card. Okay, so let's get started. So to start with, I've got a piece of Very Vanilla which measures 11 inches long by 4 1/8 of an inch wide, and then I've just scored it at 5.5 inches. And then on the inside, before I glued down the piece inside, I stamped the flower. Now I didn't use Stampin' Up ink. I actually used a new ink I'm trying which is called VersaFine. I do a lot of watercolouring and I was put on to, because I was using Stays On jet black ink and it was really staining my stamps very badly and I couldn't get it off of I couldn't clean it off. And one of my friends put me on to VersaFine Onyx Black. That's OMYX Black, and these little cube ink pads, which I really love because when I'm using my Misty, they're a lot better to use these little smaller ones, and I'm not getting ink everywhere, and they are very easy to clean off. So this is, I stamped it in the VersaFine, and this is the Imperial Purple. Okay, so then I just glued that on there. Now that piece for inside is 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8 of an inch for those of you that like your measurements. And then we're going to just add here a piece of fresh fig, and that's exactly the same size. I wrote the sizes on the back so I wouldn't forget. So it's 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8, and I'm just going to glue that on first. So I have been just trying a few different products lately, and I happened to mention to one of my friends about the trouble I was having with the Stays On, and it's one thing that puts me off of buying photopolymer stamps because they just stain so badly. But since I've been using the VersaFine, and I also use a Lawn Fawn chamois to clean my inks, I hardly ever use a stamp cleaner. And I'm finding that it just cleans the stamps, especially when I'm using my Misty. It's just so much easier to have my chamois and just clean it off in between stamping. So that's just a bit of a tip. Where you get the Lawn Fawn chamois, you would have to find a supplier that sells Lawn Fawn products. In Australia, I get mine from Dawn Lewis. She's very good and very helpful. So that's my panel on there. And then I've got another piece of Very Vanilla, which is going to be our top layer, and that measures 5 inches by 3 5/8. Okay, so that's the piece that we're going to be working on first. So I'll just bring in my Misty. So for those that don't know, this is the stamp set we're using. It's from Stampin' Up, and I'm using the flower up here, and it's called Floral Phrases, and it is a current stamp set at the moment. So just take off my Misty triangles. Now I'm going to pop this up here so that I can position it exactly where I want it. And I really love these misty triangles because before I was having to have my way down in this corner, and I can have it up there, you can see it, and these corners really do hold the stamp. So first off, I'm going to just eyeball that, and I'm just going to press down. Now I'm just going to take, I'll just bring that over a bit so you can see. So this is the VersaFine little cube inks that you can get, and in Australia you can get them from Craft Online. I don't know overseas, but if you just googled VersaFine ink pads, I'm sure you would have a supplier somewhere. And you can see what I mean, they're just so great to apply when I'm using the Misty. So I'm just going to press that down, and I'm just going to do it once more, not that it really needs to be, but seeing this is on the front of the card, I want it to be quite vibrant. So I started off just getting the black one for my watercolouring when I'm stamping my images, and then I found they had other colours. So it's fantastic for me because my husband and I travel in our motorhome. Now this is the chamois, and it is stained. When it's dry, it's hard and quite rigid, and all you do is run it under cold water, and literally you can see there, all I do is I'm just going to give it a bit of a wipe over because I'm going to move this stamp, and I don't really want to have any ink on it, so I'm just going to try and mirror it. I hope my head isn't in the view. I'm sorry if it is. I don't think I got it in the view. And then I moved it, didn't I? So when I'm mirroring, you just got to find where you're going to line it up. It's not so much the cardstock. I'm using the top of the stamp there and the top of the stamp there. So I'm just going to bring that over. And see how it didn't have any ink there because I used that chamois, which was fabulous. Now I just hope that it's pretty straight on there. And I'm just going to pop that down there. And I just wipe over that. And we'll just take the purple . I'm just taking one of my cotton buds, just got a little bit on the edge of the stamp there, and I'm just going to bring that down again. Then we're just going to remove that. Pop the Misty over there. Now the thing with the VersaFine, it does take a little bit longer to dry, but we haven't got that time in making a card. So I'm just going to pop that to the side for the moment, because we're going to, now what I did was I stamped from one of my retired stamp sets, you may have it, Carousel Birthday, and I just used the birthday sentiment down there. And what I did was I just stamped it on a piece of Very Vanilla, okay, and then all I did was cut the ends off, just cut the sentiment down to the size that you want, because when we put this on the card, what I want that's going to go right across the middle like that, and I'm just going to apply it with some dimensionals. So still a little bit wet, but that's all right. We'll just be really careful, and if I smudge it, I smudge it. That's just life. So I'm just going to grab some, just try and not put my hand on there, and I'm just going to apply some multi-purpose glue round the card, just on the edges. Now I'm just going to eyeball that, try and get a pretty even border around the edge. And I do this card quite a lot for note cards for weddings, engagements, things like that, where you're mass producing, but I thought it would look really nice in a bigger size, and we do it as a birthday card. You just got to get the right image that's going to look all right, mirror imaged, okay? So then I'm just going to pop this across here. So with that, I stamped that quite a while ago, so I know it's going to be dry. And then I'm just going to pop some dimensionals along there. Just take them off. And I do appreciate you subscribing to my channel. I hope you'll stick with me. It does encourage me to do more tutorials when I see people joining and people staying with my channel. So then all we're going to do is pop that one across the middle. So even if you've got a smaller image that you want to mirror, you could. All you need to do is make your sentiment a little bit wider to go across the middle. I'm not going to pick that up again. So I'm just being careful not to touch those flower images because they do take a few minutes to dry. So that's quite effective, doing that mirror image. And you could even do like a couple of pearls either side if you wanted to, but I just mainly wanted to do a shorter video for you. I've done a couple of long ones recently and you must get so bored going through the whole thing with me, but I hope you'll give that technique a try. And it doesn't have to be this particular image, it can be anything that you think that would look nice as a mirror image. So until next time, happy crafting.